tournament. I think Georgia, just with their World Cup experience as well, will come out on top. But then again, Portugal also showed that spirit that we talk about from the underdogs against the Welsh. And I mean, Wales only pulled away there by 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. Something we wouldn't have expected. But just for the sake of Georgia and Portugal, yeah, I think it's not a comfortable Georgia win. It's going to be one of those games that people must tune into, because it's the lesser opponents, I guess, tier 2 versus tier 2. And the more support we get, the better. Obviously, me saying that, I'll be doing the watch along on Saturday, so do tune in to that game, everybody. But yeah, Portugal, they'll be excited. I think they've only been at the World Cup once in 2007. So maybe that experience in World Cup tournaments for Georgia will count in their favour.
Yeah. Scott, anything to add before we move on?
I've actually just gone and had a look at the poll on the Forever Rugby group, and it's a split 4-4. But with that said, Steve's voted on both sides. I don't know if that means it's a draw or what it is. So I think maybe it's a bit of recency bias, because we saw the impressive display from Portugal against Wales. Like, no one really expected Wales to get shaken by that. And yeah, you saw, I guess, a bit of the innovation with the line-up move that eventually saw Portugal score. So, I mean, I voted Portugal. I'd love for them to win. It's one of those teams you actually don't really want either of them to lose, right? They both of them very likable, play with passion. You want these types of teams to lay foundations that build rugby in those countries, which then eventually they can become the likes of a Japan, where they are, have the capacity to be the tier 1 nation. So, I mean, I've gone with Portugal. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think I've enjoyed the tier 2 nation games more than a lot of the tier 1 nation games this World Cup. I think it's been incredibly competitive, and seeing the way, and maybe it's also just the way the pools have been split, but it's given them the platform, and it looks like every single one of them are taking it. Maybe a little bit less, but I mean, you got to feel for them with the
And on that, actually, there's in the comment again, PDN saying there was talk about smaller teams coming strong into the World Cup. I do not see that. I'm from Namibia, actually appointed one of the Namibian front row players at my company. He works full time and weekend. And then he goes on to say, not enough money in tier 2 nations and not enough grassroots. So yeah, I mean, these teams, face massive challenges, and that's, I think, why everyone is like shocked or so stoked for Fiji. So traditionally a tier 2 or on the cusp of nation, and with how much resources they have and how much time to play rugby, it's phenomenal what they've been able to do. And I think there does need to be better effort by World Rugby. I don't quite know how you do it, but to get these emerging nation sides, as we on one of my streams, we didn't like the term tier 1 and tier 2, so we called them emerging nations. Bit of woke nonsense there, but so these sides that are up and coming, and how do you support them? And then PVN says there's just not enough money, and then grassroots, you can't, even if you chuck all the money, where does that money go? And so I think they definitely, I would disagree with PVN. They're saying he doesn't see the teams coming in strong. I think they have been. I think the sides we classify as tier 2 emerging nations, they've given good teams a run. As we said, Portugal against Wales. Fiji upsetting Australia. Like I think there's good moments. Obviously, not every side. Romania's had an unlucky time. And it's just also your pool, right? And Romania, Ireland, and South Africa, and then Namibia, New Zealand, and France. That's tough stuff.
Yeah.
To add on to that, way, sorry, I think something I saw recently, which at least I found, step in the right direction from World Rugby, is that in fact the champions of the World Cup don't receive any more money than any other team. So there's a pot that's actually split entirely amongst all the teams, and they all receive an equal share of that, regardless of how far they go in the tournament. So that is great. Obviously, it's not enough, but I thought that was a really nice approach taken by World Rugby to at least do that. But the issue isn't the the prize at the end of the 4 years. It's the 4 years in between, right? And bridging that gap. And I mean, I don't think South Africa, to be fair, is doing enough to bring up any of the other African rugby teams. How many more times can you use like an SAA team to go and play Namibia, on an international break, or Kenya, even varsity teams? Obviously, I think, a lot of these Namibian players have played in South African Varsity Cup and have gone through those systems. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, and you never want to have 80-0 games, and to see less of those is only going to benefit rugby and how we watch it. So hopefully, at least the split pool is a step in the right direction.
But this does lead. I think this could be a whole other segment on its own around how World Rugby is handling these guys, these nations, right? Because we see this. We always say we enjoy it when we see them at the World Cup and we see them having a go. Yeah, they do end up one-sided, but they will keep saying, well, how can we compete if we don't play at this level often enough? And obviously, it looks like are we heading to a world season, global rugby world season? And then how do you, when it comes to international windows, where you're going to fit? There's the money issue, obviously, because obviously a tier 1 test, a full house tier 1 test brings home the bacon, right? So how they going to fit it in? But I really hope they can find a way. I've always thought of a relegation promotion type of situation within the rankings. So like a team that has worked its way up into the top 10 does get the right to earn 3 or 4 tests. Maybe I don't know if it's in a league system. I don't know, just hypothetically. But I would. I think it would only do World Rugby a much better service if these guys had the opportunity to play against the bigger teams, right? It's natural. We've seen it with the Jaguars. They went to the final Super Rugby. Argentina were beaten New Zealand and the Box in Argentina. Fiji did pretty well. Are improving. Now look at Fiji, right? When you guys play rugby, you played 4th team practice and you went to 2nd team practice. You upped your game, right? So I think that's how it works. I'm going to go into the betting segment before we do the last couple of games, and we'll talk about some of the potential talking points of the week. So I'll bring up the betting slide. Whoops. There she is. So we've lost Ruudz. I hope he comes back. Wait for him to come back.
Quite time to leave yet.
Yeah. So we had another winner last week. We had Japan plus 22.5 versus England, won by 22. So that half a point brings that bet home if you understand the handicap betting system. So we were given basically 23 points. So that extra points wins you the bet. So that's another winner. Only had the one bet. Moves us into the 20 units profit, which is lovely. Cruising around there, 54% return on investment. Like we said, we'll take that any day of the week, even when it's at 40 or 30. We're smiling. So the 2 bets I've got lined up for this weekend. I mentioned it earlier. I like Ireland. I think unless Rassie and Jacques have a plan up their sleeve that they're going to blitz Ireland in the first half, which could happen, but I don't see that. I just don't see Ireland not coming out strong to hold that blitz anyway initially. So I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to take Ireland 1.5 points at half time. That's again the cap. So even if the book's up by 1 point, this bet will come home. So yeah, I'm going to back that. It's going to be a tight first half. It could easily be a draw. It could be like 9 or 12 or type of scoreline at half time. And yeah, I'm going for Samoa. I think that's too high. I think Samoa ought to play for big can hold the RGs. I think RGs maybe win, but win between 1 and 10. I don't think they separate themselves. I think Samoa, if they can keep their discipline going, we'll keep Arge close. But definitely expect an Arge fight back for sure. I see a completely different Argentina team, so it'll be interesting to see how Samoa handle that. But they got the cavalry to do Samoa. It's just like it says, it's the cohesion. You could see that first half. They look like a team on their first practice run. So like looking for the runner, throwing it anyway if they're not there. So, but yeah, those are the 2 bets. So if you're following, good luck, guys. Yeah, hopefully we roll on again and keep keep our profitable weeks going. So, yeah, good luck with that. And we'll now move on to the final games. Quickly do previews of the final games of the week for the weekend. We've done Ireland. On Saturday, we move on to Sunday. We can quickly touch on Scotland, Tonga before we go to Wales, Australia. Scotland, Tonga, guys. Do you see any surprises there? Obviously, Scotland should be the favourites there. Tonga were a little bit disappointed against Ireland, weren't they? I expected more, but it is Ireland. If you're not a good team, you're going to get squeezed out of that game pretty quick, pretty fast, right? Do you think Scotland, like Wales, are another team that love to go a bit down for the minnow games? And if you notice, like some teams just drop their standard with the minnows. Others, like South African Island, will put minnows away quite comfortably. So, do you see a surprise here, or as you like Scotland go on? Scotty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly dynamic game, right? Tonga, Scotland, both we're going to love throwing the ball around. Tonga's going to be physical. I mean, they both actually have pretty physical teams. You even saw how Scotland were able to hold up against the Springboks for the whole first half. 6-3 at halftime. They were clapping us in scrum. So I think it's going to be a great contest. I do see Scotland running out. Everyone's kind of. It seems when you get that bye week, you lose. Everyone kind of forgets about you for a second, but they still want to be in this World Cup as much as any other team, and feel like they're going to have a point to prove. And they know that the only way that they get out of this group is that they get bonus points, especially in the games against Tonga. So it's going to be flat foot down, and I'm really excited. I think Finn Russell is also going to enjoy not having Peter Steff running at him.
Yeah. I see the comments. I just think Scotland here, Wes, just got an all-round team that will. What we got, Wes there? Welcome back, son. I think Scotland just going to have the goods, right? Probably, you think of Tonga, you think of physicality, but I still think Scotland are just the structured, bit more quality will come to the top, right, Wes?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think they will be looking to turn up and put in a big performance. I think Tonga, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the last weekend their first run out in this World Cup? So they'll, also that first game and everything gets a bit nervous and whatnot. So they'll be looking to tidy things up a bit. But I do think the Scotland coming into the World Cup, that we've seen over the last couple of games should put away the Tonga side. But that should is a big word.
Yeah, Ruudz, when you went away, we just quickly did the betting segment, so you didn't miss too much except for a couple of winners there if you want to join on the betting train there. But Ruudz, Scotland, Tonga, how do you see that going? We all say we're predicting this is a must win for Scots. They should get through, or do they get sucked into a dogfight with Tonga, even though Tonga weren't as what we thought they would possibly be against Ireland, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part, Tonga were a little bit disappointing against Ireland. But then again, we come back to the amount of games these guys have played in comparison to the Ireland and Scotland. I think for the sake of continuity, Scotland just have that cohesion in their team that will overcome Tonga. So Tonga will be relying on some sort of upset so they can latch on to the past of Rugby World Cup upsets. But I'm not sure if they have that cohesion. I didn't see much of that against Ireland to threaten Scotland. For Scotland, it's a non-negotiable after they were mauled against the Springboks. And I think overcoming this Tonga game might give Scotland then the confidence for the Ireland game, because this group is by no means settled. In my opinion, South Africa will beat Ireland on Saturday and we'll end up first. But that second spot is still available. So for Scotland, they shouldn't be entertaining Tonga for too long. Again, I think they'll close the game off come the 60th minute onwards, because Tonga sort of come out the blocks. The fans are behind them. We all are behind the underdogs. But Scotland are the fifth best team, as we know, for a reason, and they just have the opportunity now to lay a marker for that game against Ireland and say, look, this will be an arm wrestle. We want that second spot.
Yeah, and on these specific island teams, a few months back or a few weeks ago before the tournament, Steve and I were discussing the hopes of potentially Fiji, and I made the point, well, I mean, yeah, we'd love to see them make a run, but I always said they're a 50, 60-minute team, and they kind of the wheels fall off and they get loose and full of tackles. But it's Fiji that aren't. Fiji are putting together close to the 70-minute performances. I still worry that Tonga and Samoa go missing for 20, 30 minutes at least in a game. These guys often do that. They just battle to keep their discipline for some reason. Their minds go off somewhere else, into the mountains or something, and they go off track, and then they pull themselves back together and they score a beat. But that's the point is that's the weak. I still see Tonga a weakness for Tonga, probably what will hold Samoa ultimately going forward as well. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend, biggie, Wales versus Australia. So yeah, very interesting roads to this game for both teams, right? So what we're saying, if Wales beat Fiji and Fiji beat Australia, Wales are beating Australia. Is that right, Scotty? Or what's going on here? Is Stevie joining old Eddie for some croissants next week, and they're going to try it over there over a few cheesy croissants?
I mean, I'm sure Stevie would love that. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, people speaking South Africa, Ireland game of the weekend. I think this is the game of the weekend. When there's consequences involved, you raise the game by that next level, right? These two essentially are fighting for a qualification spot. It's a knockout game for them, and expecting that they're going to win the rest of the games, which is also not guaranteed but expected. This is their toughest challenge. I think Australia will win. I think they will bounce back. I think Eddie, short-term fixer, knows how to come up with the game plan. I think Wales got away with it against Fiji. I think Fiji slipped up a little bit. I think Fiji should have beaten both teams. They managed to get it over the line. Thank goodness, as someone who wants Fiji to succeed more than Wales or Australia. But I still think Australia are the next best nation, and I think they'll get through. And I think 7-10 actually, unless Dan Biggar has an absolute day, which he's highly capable of. But yeah, no, I'm putting my faith in Australia.
Very interesting. Yeah, I've also got some opinions. I might leave it today because I'm very curious to see what Wes thinks about this game. What's going on here, Wes? Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I'm against Scotty over there. I think Wales will take this one. Yeah, I just think if they've not been in fantastic form, but they've been in better consistent form than Australia. Sort of Oz just have struggled to find any sort of rhythm, any sort of consistency. I mean, the number of captains they've had, I think, Drew Mitchell very eloquently was telling us how many captains and whatnot that they've had over the last couple of games. On that quickly, I feel like, I mean, fair enough. I understand why he has to apologize. Kids will look up to him and this, that, the next, but you can see it's coming from a place of passion where he genuinely cares about the sport, his nation, and their success. But yeah, I think, selections, not selecting Michael Hooper, not selecting Quade Cooper, this might be where the chickens come home to roost, and I do think Wales are going to take it. I think they were lucky to come away with a win against Fiji, and they weren't solid against Portugal. However, in the start against Fiji, when they took Fiji, to task, they looked good. It looked like a good Welsh side, and if they can get that good Welsh side on the field, and therefore 70 odd minutes, 80 minutes, I think Australia is going to have a tough day. But I see getting disagreed with in the chat. Oaks are saying that they think Oz by 8 or so, which is fantastic. It's why we're here, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, Ruudz. I mean, what do you think? At this moment, I can't make a case for any of them. Are you on the 25-all draw with me, or are you picking a winner?
Just to add on to Wes there, I think Wales were excellent, especially player number 24. He had a whistle in his hand. He was excellent. He played a wonderful game, wonderful feet, wonderful hands. But coming back to Australia, I think Eddie Jones is under a lot of pressure, and it's obviously evident in the press conferences. He's quite abrasive, in my opinion. But I think for the most part, there's also a conversation I was listening to that Quade Cooper has 55 missed calls on his phone. He's not prepared to answer Eddie Jones at this point.
Fair enough.
And why would you? Because, I mean, he wasn't even considered as a backup player. So Eddie Jones is adamant. And then, like Wes was saying, the chickens coming home to roost, if you could call it that. One of their players, their young players, Max Jorgensen, I think, came up with a broken leg. So he's out of the World Cup completely. So there's those sort of compounding decisions that now come back to bite you, I guess. But for Eddie Jones, I think being or having the experience that he's had, obviously getting a silver medal in 2003, and then obviously with the Box as a technical analyst in 2007, he does have World Cup experience, so we can't throw that away. It's a must win for Australia, where obviously for Wales, they know it's a must win. But I just think the edge is on Australia in terms of where they at or where they should be. And I know it's a bit premature, but Eddie Jones as the coach is almost like the Jose Mourinho of rugby, you know. So maybe I am expecting a little bit more than most, but I think Australia will pull this one through. And I heard Scalzi saying 7, maybe swinging either way, but I'm going to give Australia the win and give them still the opportunity to keep that group alive, much like the other groups as well. So quite an interesting weekend of rugby. The deciding weekends, I guess, for teams to divert in different directions.
Yeah, I'm kind of half joking about the draw, but I agree that Australia are the better, for me, on paper are the better side. And if they come bring it, even if Wales do, they should be edging this Welsh team by about 5 points. However, it's clear, or it seems that this Eddie Jones, or they've kind of blown up the flag for this World Cup, right? They've talking about it. He's clearly seemingly made that decision with his selections. And if you see in the press conference, he made a point. This young Australia side, like he's trying to make a point. I brought youngsters to kind of give them to experience. Totally undermining the Wallabies, basically, and the World Cup, let's face it. So if you're a player and your coach, Eddie Jones, is ranting and raving and acting like a madman and basically saying, well, we're not winning this World Cup. You drop 2-3%, you lose to Fiji. So my worry is, if these guys don't think they're winning this, aren't yet to win the World Cup, Wales can take them. So, like, it's going to be very interesting, but it'll be very Australia-like. Very Australia-like to come out and win by 10, you know? And off we go. We all wrote off England, and Ruudz, I'll get you now. We all wrote off England. No one's saying that they're on the right track, but they've just beaten RG and Japan by 20-odd points. I mean, that's nothing to snigger off. Wales try to go win by 10. Are we saying that they're making a run, you know? Yeah, Ruudz, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think just the last point to touch on for Australia, who do they have to rely on to bring the team together? So we talk in South Africa of the Siya Kolisis, in New Zealand, maybe the Brody Retallicks coming back from injury. For Australia, like you mentioned, such a young side, if they are up against the pump at whatever stage in the game, who do they have to bring them together? So I think they've got to overcome that sort of hurdle, yeah?
It is very odd, the team he selected. He could have brought some guys, you know. So I heard the comment about Sonny Ball Williams saying if Carter Gordon just had a Quade Cooper in the change room after something like that, because he's put all his bets on this Carter Gordon. He hasn't proven himself, right? I mean, what these guys must be feeling like. And I don't know if you guys know Skelton's back, but I mean, Tupou, you just have to watch him even for the Reds. I mean, that guy is so pivotal. He's basically their scrum. He's he's our marks, Malcolm Marks in the loose, possibly better ball skills. These teams look different without the guy. So yeah, I don't know if even he's back. I honestly, I was trying to find Australia team news before we arrived. I don't know if anyone, Scott, you want to say something? Do you have any?
I think it's still out. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna add. Like, I think you can understand him leaving out Hooper Quaid if this is an Australia team filled with experience and he doesn't need their expertise. But there's still something to be said, as you said. Like, who can Carter Gordon go to and have a one-on-one conversation with, just to be like, this has happened to me. If anyone in a career has gone through ups and downs, it's Quade Cooper. He's seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows type of guy, and seems to be pretty kind of level-headed at this point. So I think it's with this Eddie team. I completely agree. He's undermined them. I think he relies on, much like he did with England, getting big early results. He needed a statement win versus the All Blacks, because then the kids believe in themselves, right? But they haven't had a statement win yet, so they're looking around for someone to believe in. They don't know who to. They don't have the senior player. They don't have Hooper Quaid, and they don't have themselves to believe in, because they haven't proved that to themselves yet. So he's kind of been waiting for the impact to come, and now he's taken a big loss, which is now just doubled down in an inexperienced side. I mean, it doesn't seem like I'm someone who's fucking the Australians. But
that's the thing with England. You remember he came in hot, Came in very hot. England went on that very good run. I think they won like 10 in a row, won the 50, they won the Six Nations, which probably possibly bought him a whole lot of time, because obviously taking New Zealand out in the semi bought him another 3 years. But this has been very underwhelming. And basically, like I say, I mean, it's basically a completely different team to the one that he picked for Loftus in the first game of the Tri-Nations, right? So he obviously does. What's very fascinating is that he sits there like he's going to be there at the next World Cup. He could have been booted already, like the way he's going on. I mean, how sure is he that he's even going to be at the next Rugby Championship? That's what fascinates me. I mean, I hope his plan comes together for Australia's sake, because Australian rugby, let's all face it, guys. I mean, like those guys, that podcast, Drew Mitchell, those old characters of Gitto, and those are Australian players. We did appreciate and respect, right? They had that grunt, they had that street mongrel. They were very good. I mean, how do you see Australia coming back to that level? I don't know. I don't know if Eddie Jones is the right person to start that, kind of like what Russie's done through the provincial teams. He talks to the provincial teams, he talks to the sevens, everyone's on board, Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. We can do some quick fire predictions, or maybe actually let's go back to the 7-1. Anyways, let's go back. Let's talk about the 7-1, because it is controversial. I'm not as opinionated about it as my high head contacts and red cards and refs. So we've thrown my name around down the gutter already, so I'm going to say whatever I feel anyway. But anyway, what do you make of the comments of the moral dilemma? I've obviously heard, let's say it's Matt Williams saying it, but I have seen some social media people commenting and kind of agreeing to it, and I think even saw another Irish, was it Keith Wood, who says the rules need to change. Right. Is it a moral issue? Is it morally wrong that we just not bending the rules? We just play by the rules and we select in the 7 reserves we want, and the other team either reacts or doesn't, or makes a plan? And does it actually filter? As you said, I understand it filtering down to the younger age groups. Okay, the scrum engagement has improved a lot, and I think neck injuries across the board have got better. Because he spoke about the neck injuries of players, and I think he still refers to that the bigger Foster guys coming in and neck injuries possibly happen. Do you buy his point that 7-1 is a moral issue and it shouldn't be accepted because he's not an international? I think he was talking down the age group. So do you agree with what you're saying? If you heard his point?
No. No. If you're that worried about the younger age groups, then also you just make that rule not available to the younger age groups, and you look to phase it in up, towards the guys where they become professional athletes and their bodies are conditioned to go for 80 minutes. Like there obviously are substitutions that happen at the 60 or the 50 or whatever, but most of these guys are trained and fit enough, if need be, to play 80 minutes of rugby. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. We know what fresh legs bring onto the field, but I just don't I don't get it. Again, if you're that concerned about the younger age groups, I think it's something that he's potentially thought of in the wave of the backlash that he got for his comments.
Backslap.
He's thought, yeah, exactly. He's kind of thought, oh, how can I justify this? Oh, the kids. What do people care about? They care about the kids. Okay, it's bad for the kids, so therefore it's bad. We shouldn't do it. But just make it not available to the kids. Like there are different rules at different ages. Right?
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They don't have, if that is an issue, and it can be, right? I don't know about your guys' school systems, because I know in Cape Town we have the English and Afrikaans schools, and there is a little bit of a physical difference level there when you play schoolboy level. And I must admit, if I saw a second pole first team pack coming after 60 minutes, 60 minutes, I would also probably be like, oh my god, this is going to be bad. But I agree. Why it doesn't have to be the same rules, right? And he's saying that, but I don't know if you guys also noticing, Scotty, like players aren't, coaches and players, current coaches and players aren't saying that they seen it as an innovation. Like, well, good for you. You know, if you want to do it, you're going to, because there is still that we keep forgetting. There's still a risk, right? We're going to be playing players. You're going to be playing players not in their specialist international position.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that can go horribly wrong. So maybe people are like, yeah, go for it, guys. But you know, if you mess this up, we'll take this is out. That's better for us to get you. Rather maybe get you because you've slipped that one up. Because if we take you 6-3 bomb squad, that's difficult. So maybe they're actually hoping that it backfires. What do you think, Scotty?
And they're not worried about the South Africans, right? So they're not up in arms that Marco van Staden's now playing hooker because they're worried about him. You know, they're not worried that like we are putting our one backline player is a scrum half and might have to come on, you know, and play out of position. It's as if they're assuming that the other team is confined to fewer players on their bench, and we just have extra capacity for that. There's so much risk involved in doing what we do. So much can easily go wrong. The smallest hamstring tear in minute 2, you know, even, you know, like the Grant Williams injury against Argentina earlier on in the year. Like these things happen. They're horrible, and South Africa takes on risk to exploit a strength of ours. We've seen us dominate. We haven't seen injuries. It's not like they're high tackles or injuries coming as a result of this. The only time I can think back to is when we blew away Italy at the last World Cup, and that wasn't a 7-1 split. That was probably even a 6-2 split, maybe a 5-1, and that was happening in the first half. That their props were just getting pumped, and then it went to uncontested, right? Yeah. So I just think it's a way of being frustrated that there's a supposed loophole that we found in a way we just choose to structure our system in the way that suits us, you know.
Or exactly, it could just disrupt all that structure we talk about, right, Ruudz? Like that 10-man rugby, that Pollard type when he's at 10. We've all been banging on that Lebok was the potential weakness or could go wrong or risk, right? Now, what if Lebok goes down or is kicking at 50%, and we got Faf playing at 10 after 45 minutes against France in a we're playing the quarterfinal. That's going to be fun, right? So, Ruudz, I know you love your books, but I think you're a fan of the 7-1, right? Do you think this needs a rule change, if anything, as well? On Matt Williams' comment, do you think anything needs to change on the back of this silliness from the box?
No. So, with all due respect to that gentleman, I think he should go and study philanthropy or something because he's way out of his depth now. South Africa, and in terms of professional sport, we're not playing for bread and milk money. We're playing to inspire a nation, and I think we need to play to our strengths. We've gone through the laws of the bench, and the requirements are you need 2 tight forwards in terms of props. A hooker, we've got that. We've covered those bases. So, as Scalzi and Wes mentioned as well, there's risk for us that nobody's taking into consideration. As we mentioned, we are the ones for now that are actually innovating. And I think just touching on what Wes was speaking about earlier and saying if you want to shut it out, then shut it out at school level. But at professional level, it's obviously, like I say, we're inspiring a nation. So at school level as well, if we know we talk about player safety, but I think in terms of contact sport that rugby is, if you don't want the contact, then don't play rugby. So we harnessing South African talent from a young age, perhaps not in that atmosphere of a 6-2 or 7-1 split. Maybe there are some permutations there, but building them up to a national team that inspires a whole nation. So that in itself, he's completely missed the point, and I think it's just a lot of envy in his rhetoric, you know.
Yeah, I just open my prediction. I don't know if the 7. I don't even know if we carry on going 7-1, right? And you don't know what these guys are going to do next. But I still don't know if that's going to backfire. Even though it can, I still think it's probably a Lebok, 2 missed kicks and a 3-point loss, or a ref,
Chris,
or bad ref decisions. Because a bad ref decision is come in and be ready, boys. And I'm not saying just for us. A controversial decision is determined in a big game. It's wherever that happens.
I mean, just to add to that is, like, I believe, in my opinion, the coaches and management have gone through what they can control. The uncontrollables we can't control.
Correct. Yeah. Very fascinating the journey the Boks have been on here, guys. How we won the last World Cup, what we look like at this World Cup. Very interesting. It makes it really, really interesting. So yeah, guys, we've gone on for quite a while. Lovely. It wasn't. I thought was expecting. I thought we had a few short because we didn't do any reviews. So yeah. Is anything else that you guys want to bring to the table? Otherwise, what I'm going to do to end, I'm not going to do a 2-2-2 games. I'm going to ask all 3 of you to give me within a 5 margin victory predictions for the games. But is there anything else you want to discuss before, or should we just go straight in and do the predictions?
Let's go straight to it, and let's go watch
Stevie
P commentate on the.
Stevie, I think someone stole Sopowanga's tea. I don't know if it was Stevie doing some spying on the Samoan camp. Stevie, please give Sopowanga his tea back. Yeah. All right, let's go. So Scholzi, Samoa, Argentina. What's the result? And if you can choose between any 5-point margin, so you can say between 8 and 12, Argentina.
I'm going Argentina 10.
All right, Wes?
Yeah, Argentina by 15.
Oh, so Argentina backlash, yeah? Samoa can't keep the discipline. Ruudz?
No. Samoa by 3.
Sheesh. Ruudz. My heart says that. My heart says I want Samoa to win. But I think Argentina are going to come out. Yeah, you're right. I think it could be. Let's go to our Saturday games. Georgia, Portugal. Scotty.
Portugal by 5.
Yo.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go Georgia by 10.
Yeah. Ruudz.
Georgia, 13 points.
Yeah, fair enough. Good one, Scotty. Put your neck out there. England, Chile. I think we know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Chile by 25. No.
That'll be something. Scotty.
Yeah. England 20.
20.
I was going to say England 25.
Respect for the Chileans.
England 47.
Jeepers.
Ruudz, I'm gonna get on Ruud's side, yeah, chaps. We got a bit of a split panel, yeah. I think it's gonna be a pretty comfortable England winner, to be fair. I think it's gonna be too much for Chile. South Africa, Ireland. I think we did touch a bit. Let's just go again, Scotty. Put this rubber stamp. Let's put our signatures onto this one. Predict it.
It's not what I believe is going to end the World Cup, but I think Ireland by 2.
I'm with you, Scotty. Ireland between 2 and 5. Swez.
I think Boks by 5 and 7. I think Ireland are the favourites, but I think Boks can do it on the day.
I know what Ruudz is gonna say.
South Africa 26, Ireland 13.
Oh, comprehensive book win. Easy. Roll on and do the same to New Zealand later, hey? And we go to the Scotland Tonga. We go around. I think we probably know we should win that one. What margins, Scott?
Scotland 15.
Yeah, they like to get
Yeah.
to a scrappy battle, the Scots, even though they should be winning by 30.
Mm.
Where's
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Scotland 15. I think that's fair enough.
Ruudz?
Scotland by 26.
Yeah, I think Scotland, but I'm going to say between 20 and 30. Maybe they squeeze out another one, another try. And then another biggie, Australia, Wales. We did go on predictions. Scotty, remind us what you're going in.
I think I said Australia 10, between 8 and 10.
That's right. You said Australia. Yeah, you're with me on Australia. Wales was Wales, right?
Yeah, Wales 10 and 12 by 10 or 12.
Sure. This is a big split. Ruudz?
Exactly what Scalzi and West said. I'm going to go between 8 and 12.
2?
Australia.
Okay.
I'm Australia too. So we got 3 Australias, 1 Wales. Wales.
Tiny Wallaby there, mate.
Raise their Welsh flag. All right, boys. Thanks so much. That was really good show. Really enjoyed it. Always enjoyed chatting rugby with you guys. And obviously we cruising well into the tournament now and some nice games. I don't know how you guys are doing in your prediction games and SUPERBRUs, but I need these 50-50s to go my way this weekend. So yeah, wish us luck. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. And obviously have a great weekend. And everyone on the chat, thank you for joining in. Obviously, if you fancy following some of the tips and the predictions, go into BOYLESPORTS and sign up on the sign-up bonus. You get a nice $1,000 sign-up bonus, and our other partners, BITDEFENDER as well. And obviously catch the guys on the watch-alongs, going beautifully, looking lovely, stick professional. Join the guys there on the watch-alongs and just support us and hit the like button. And yeah, let's keep going and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank everyone.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It's Sunday evening around the world. It's Rugby World Cup 2023. It's an important Pool C clash. It's Australia up against Wales. Guys, kickoff is 9 o'clock South African Standard Time, as I mentioned. And I guess a lot of us are still recovering. If you're a South African fan, from last night's loss against the Irish, a tough one to swallow. But this World Cup has shown that every single game is quite, at this point, quite an interesting affair in terms of its permutations. And none less so than in Pool C for Australia's Eddie Jones. I think a loss means that they will be facing the chop for the first time in a pool stage at a World Cup. And I think for Wales, it also leaves them in a precarious position because of the resurgence of Fiji, the dark horses of Pool C. So exciting clash ahead of us in Pool C. We look forward to having you all tune in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel as well. We appreciate all the support. Stevie P and the team on the ground in France, bringing you the best coverage, play-by-play, match highlights, fan parks, and also all sorts in terms of rugby in this World Cup. And I guess tonight is no different. for Australia and Wales, this game being their third game each. The penultimate game, will it matter as much? Not for Australia, I guess, should they lose, but for Wales, do they still have an opportunity? Will bonus points play a factor in this game? I think that'll be interesting as we play out. Obviously, Wayne Barnes, the experienced Englishman, is in charge of this game. So quite exciting to have a referee of that stature referee this game. Eddie Jones, Warren Gatlin, it's going to be exciting. Also, a shout out to the partners, the official partners of Forever Sports. BitDefender, the global leader in cyber security, enhancing your digital platform experience, always keeping you safe from cyber attacks, as well as the official betting partner of Forever Sports. BOYLESPORTS is the place to be, guys. If you have any predictions, comments in terms of backing a certain team, if you feel lucky, I think that's the place to go and open an account at BOYLESPORTS. They'll match you up to 1,000 Rand as a starting bonus. So that's exciting. As I mentioned, it's Eddie Jones up against Warren Gatlin this evening. And what are we going to do now is just take you through the starting 23 of each team. And we're going to start with Australia. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Some exciting news for you guys. Stevie P is on the ground in Lyon. Before kickoff, we're going to be crossing over live now to Stevie P. Stevie P, my brother, you're in France. You've ticked off a few things on the bucket list. Firstly, how are you? And what's the feeling like at the stadium tonight?
As it is, and everybody fantastic to be here. It is absolutely mental this start. First of all, I'm exhausted. It's been non-stop since we've arrived, but this is now our third different stadium. We were in Bordeaux last weekend or 2 weekends ago for 2 games. We had Stade de France last night. This atmosphere is unbelievable. The stadium is very close to here. The Aussies are in, and they're mental. And I tell you what, we've been in some good atmosphere so far, but this has definitely been the best one I've seen so far. And I think that we're in for an absolute belter of a match.
Stevie, we're going to get to the match in a moment. Just from my side, you said you're well, but considering the Springboks lost last night, are you really well, brother?
Yeah, I'm not overly upset about the result. I'm frustrated. We should have won, could have won, I think. Yeah, I think speaking to a lot of Irish fans over the past weekend is actually very interesting. On Friday night, I basically went into Paris and I went and spoke to a lot of different Irish fans. And a lot of them reckoned that they were going to win the match, that we were going to win the tournament. And that's the feeling from sort of the neutral fan. And I think as South Africans, I think we need to not panic. It would have been nice to win last night. It would have been a great vibe. It would have been really good for momentum. But I still think that last night's result has no real big bearing on the tournament. So, yeah, I'm still pretty confident.
Do you think also in terms of this match being a crunch decider for Australia, do you think there's any battle of the wits, Eddie Jones coming out on top tonight?
Yeah, it's a very interesting match because it's 2 teams who are very similar in terms of situations. 2 coaches who have been there, only been in the job for the rest of the calendar year. It's 2 young squads, lots of big players missing, and no Alwyn Jones, no Justin Tippery for Wales World Cup, no Michael Hooper, no Craig Cooper, for example, for Australia. So they're almost in like identical scenarios in terms of a bit of a regen type of team. Wales has not played phenomenally well, but that's great result so far. Australia, looked like they kicked into gear against Georgia. All of a sudden, didn't come up particularly well against Fiji. So we're talking about 2 master tacticians in a Gavin and in the Eddie Jones, who are pretty good at being able to get the best of what they have in a short space of time. A bit of an emergency job. So it's interesting to see how those 2 coaches in similar environments are going to go against each other tonight. I personally think Wales might have the edge, but the young Australian side is so unpredictable. I actually don't know where it's going to go.
Well, just coming back to the South African game quickly, you've been bumping into a lot of fans, obviously, in France. I heard you also bumped into Morné Steyn. Is that true? Is there some rumors that he's coming to kick for the Springboks?
Unfortunately, no Morné Steyn, no France Steyn. There have been plenty of Steyns out here. Jean de Villiers is out here, Brian Banner's out here, John Smith's out here. So I think everybody's out here that can't be particularly useful. So, we'll wait to see if we're going to see a parachute in Morné Steyn. A lot of people are asking for a Ruudz. I'll tell you who is out here and who will be playing this weekend, and that is Andre Pollard. We did get that confirmation from Matthew Rasmus that Pollard will be in the lineup, or in the 23 at least, this weekend. And after last night, a very interesting dynamic in terms of him coming back and potentially solving the kicking issue at what cost to the team with regards to how we play. So a very interesting sort of next week of build-up to come from the Springboks with regards to what they're going to do with that goalkeeping cycle.
Yeah, just from my side, then back to this game. In terms of a score prediction, Stevie, do you have a score prediction in your mind, first of all? And second of all, just from our side, much appreciation for all the coverage in France. Is there a message to all the fans listening on Forever Sports?
Yeah, in terms of a score prediction, I think it's going to be quite close. I think that we're looking at about a 5 to 7 point game. I've got to go with Wales. I've had a lot of excited Australian fans come to me all over the night. I was with the Welsh squad a lot last year when they were down first up. They're a great bunch of guys. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Wales. So I'm going to have to go to Wales personally. And it's also nice to say a massive thank to everyone who's watching, everyone who's been tuning in over the last 2 weekends. It's been so cool. We've run into so many subscribers here, in fact. PlayStation in Bordeaux, We ran somebody at the League yesterday. Some people at the fan villages. We're seeing so many subscribers over here who are recognizing the name. Really cool to see how the community is over here. And on that note, if you are in France, or going to see the game, please do contact us. It's YouTube at Rugby Sports Media. It'll come up on the stream as well at a point. But make sure that you do come and contact us. We're going to be in Lyon for this week. We're going to be in Marseille for the weekend. We'll be in Lyon next week. We'll be in France next weekend. So if you are in France, get in touch with us. Let's meet up. Let's have a beer. And just a massive thank you to everyone who is showing support to the channel. And also a massive shout out to you guys on the ground back that side. Kind of holding it forward. It's been absolute chaos to the start. A lot of fun, but been very hectic. And so a big shout out to the entire team really for what's been a really cool opening couple of weeks.
CVP, it's been wonderful having a chat with you, my brother. Stay safe and enjoy this game. We're going to walk this journey together, my brother. Until next time. Thank you, Stevie. Welcome back, guys. That was some exciting feedback from Stevie P over in France at the stadium on the ground in Lyon, giving us some coverage and some feedback on what the journey's been like up to this point. As we mentioned, it's Wales up against Australia in the Pool C clash, and Warren Gatland has named his 23 that will be running out against Australia in this game, and we're going to be taking you through the Wales 23. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. As we took a look at the Wales 23 for this all-important clash up against Australia. We're almost underway at the RL Stadium in Lyon. As I mentioned, Wayne Barnes is the referee for this tight occasion. And in Group C, with Fiji that have been so strong, getting those 2 bonus points in their opening game against Wales, as well as the big upset of the tournament up to this point, beating Australia, they have put themselves in contention for only 2 places available, with 3 teams fighting it out. And 2 of those 3 teams are on the field tonight here in Lyon. The atmosphere, as you heard with Stevie P on the ground, some exciting coverage there. The atmosphere is electric. The fans are ready for this one, and I think for the fans, there's not really an underdog because both teams desperate for a victory on this occasion. So do share the link with your friends and family, guys. It's going to be an exciting game. I'll be taking you through it play by play here on Forever Sports. Keep in mind, we are live for every single game. The atmospheres at this Rugby World Cup has been electric throughout every single game, albeit the minnows played. We saw Georgia up against Portugal yesterday with that famous drama at the end. This is what the fans live for. This is Rugby World Cup. Before the game, history might suggest that Australia have 7 out of the last 10 victories against Wales, but Wales are one of those bogey teams. Remember in 2019, South Africa relied on Andre Pollard to kick that penalty in that semi-final against Wales. So Wales, no strangers to the pressures of these sort of big games. Warren Gatland, of course, come back to this Welsh team to try and bring back the pride of Welsh rugby, but then in turn, Eddie Jones brought back, and he's picked quite an exciting young squad at this Rugby World Cup. A lot of the media have given him a lot of stick because of that, but he stuck to his guns. He hasn't deviated from there. Will it pay off this evening? 2 very, very experienced heads clashing this evening. And the players are just about ready to come out onto the pitch. There is emotion in the Welsh team. But as we know, the game is also one up front. So which pack of forwards is going to arrive? We know Australia can play the good technical stuff. Will the European rugby be superior this evening? Wayne Barnes will have a very, very, very tough, very tough responsibility on his hands. We hope that all the calls are consistent, that each player has the fair opportunity to represent their team as well. We don't like those contentious ones. Guys, do give your comments on your score prediction in the comment section, should I say. Score predictions, guys. This is a big one. In South Africa, if you're watching from wherever, it's a public holiday tomorrow. You can stay up late, have a few refreshments, and sleep in a little bit in the morning. Feels like a Saturday, guys. I know we're all still recovering from the Springbok losses or last night. But there's still a long, long road to go in this Rugby World Cup, and it's not over for South Africa. A serious wake-up call. and none more so this evening for Australia, that should they lose this game, they're going home, or at least they'll be in the tournament for another 2 weeks before they play their final pool game. And then they'll be going home. Wes says 18 Wales, 13 Australia, playing it safe, going with the Welsh. Not backing Eddie Jones there, Wes. Okay. I hear you, brother. It's all fair. It's all fair. George Boucher says South Africa will win the World Cup. Definitely, mate. Appreciate that, brother. We need those words of encouragement now more than ever. The teams are lining up for the national anthems. This is the moment where they have to switch on. I guess they switched on before, but now just hearing your country's national anthem is a special moment. Eddie Jones, of course, under a lot of pressure. The Australian coach, he himself has come out in the week and said his job is probably facing the end of its tenure should they lose this game. High stakes on the international rugby playing field, even for a coach like Eddie Jones. Johannes van Wyk, Australia 25, Wales 21. Backing the Southern Hemisphere guys there. Senzo for the win there. Johannes? I'm leaning towards your scoreline prediction. Packed house, it seems pretty even. We see a lot of yellow, we see a lot of red. Doesn't look like the weather's too bad. There's clear skies. Probably dew on the field, so handling will be an issue. Set pieces will come into play. Which team is going to be more efficient on this day? Wales or Australia? Keep in mind, if Wales do lose but get a bonus point, losing bonus point or two, that's also another permutation to this group. So not all said and done for Wales, but it will be catastrophic should they lose, because you've got to rely on other teams to do the things you would like. And for Australia, it is all or nothing this evening. RPG says Australia 12, Wales 22. So we're getting a lot of Welsh feedback here. I guess you're judging it from Eddie Jones's record up to this point, 1 out of 7. Very, very, very uncharacteristic of Eddie Jones. So he's had to put himself in a position where he's had to back this team. Some experienced players missing, Quade Cooper, Michael Hooper. But Eddie Jones going with the young, fresh, exciting 23 this evening against Wales. It's do or die. We're just about underway as the teams huddle. Final words of motivation between the two sides. Wales playing from right to left. The speedster Louis Rees-Zammit. Will he play a part this evening? He's got gas. Might be rated as one of the quickest in the tournament, actually. Richie Arnold of Australia. They're going to rely heavily on his ball carrying skills, but also his work in the line out. The crowd will start counting us down soon for this all-important Pool C clash at the Rugby World Cup 2023 in Lyon. Australia and Wales, Australia playing from right to left, and they'll be kicking off. So Wales to receive. Young halfback pairing for Australia this evening in Tate McDermott and Ben Donaldson, of course, switching from fullback. Eddie Jones giving him a positional switch, but believing that he can steer the ship home as kickoff is underway. Australia kickoff. Well collected there from Wales. Was the lock forward, Will Rowlands. And immediately a penalty to Wales. Wayne Barnes adjudging Australia not rolling away at that ruck. A chance to relieve the pressure inside their 22 from the kickoff. And Australia not rolling away after that tackle. Dan Biggar now with the opportunity to put Wales into Australia's territory now on this left-hand touchline. On Australia's 10-metre line, inside their territory, Wales get the line out and feed. At the base, Gareth Davis and Biggar finds some space down that right-hand touchline. Wales playing efficient territorial rugby at the moment. Australia with the feed now via Porecki. McDermott, Valentini. Australia inside their 22, about 10 metres from their line, 20 metres from the right-hand touchline. McDermott shapes to kick, has the safety of the touchline and finds touch on this right-hand touchline. Australia finds some relief. Still inside their own half though, on their 10-metre mark on the right-hand touchline. Jamarcus says Australia 32, Wales 17, so we got another Aussie there. Getting a bit more even. Wales with the feed. Ryan Elias. Quick ball down the back. Here go Wales. Straight down the middle. It's Gareth Davis. Wonderful support line from Gareth Davis on the inside. And Wales from first phase ball at the line out inside Australia's territory. Score the first try of this match. Through that man, Gareth Davis, a wonderful support line. After I think the initial break was Jack Morgan, the captain. Quick ball over the top in the line out. Inside ball, straight down the middle. And a wonderful support line by the captain there. Or I beg your pardon, the scrum off, Gareth Davis. Biggar with a simple conversion. It's over and Wales lead 7 points to 0. It was, in fact, the captain, Jack Morgan, showed a wonderful turn of speed, but the presence of mind to find his support on the inside, invaluable, and Wales hit first. Australia with a kickoff now, deep again into Welsh, into the Welsh 22. Fuller with a catch, brought to ground, and Davis at the base, shaping to kick now for Wales. He does shape to kick, but he doesn't want to find touch. Australia gather now. Via Kellaway, he's brought to ground. We're into Welsh territory now, playing towards centre field. Corabetti, Australia trying to find some space here. Tom Hooper. They're playing down this right-hand touchline. They're up to the 22 now, Australia. McDermott wants quick ball. There was a slight knock on there from that phase of play, but the referee coming back for a penalty advantage. James Slipper not able to hold on to the ball there. Some wonderful work from the Australian team over the ball. Samu Currie involved there, and Wales have to now be on the back foot as Donaldson aims for the 5-meter mark on this right-hand touchline, and he finds it. He's been pretty accurate with his boot in this tournament, Ben Donaldson. And Australia with an attacking line out now. About 7 meters from the Welsh try line. It's a loose ball in the line out, but Australia get it through McDermott. And they're playing towards centre field. Slightly isolated, but the cleaners come in. The tacklers must release. Valentini over the ball, but it's McDermott. Australia sniping around the ruck here. They're only 2 meters out. All the forwards getting heavily involved. The referee telling Wales, stay on side. This is the danger zone. But Australia regather now. McDermott, Donaldson. There's a slight fumble in midfield there. The referee is playing advantage. Nawakani Tawase. He's a slippery man to bring down. Australia still inside the 22, but they've lost a few meters now. But Corabetti says, I'll take a few back. Valentini, it takes 2 to bring him to ground. Australia securing the ball. Holding on to possession now, 10 meters out, playing towards centre field from left to right. The ball goes wide. Currie hands off one. It's got to be quick ball for the Wallabies. And it's James Slipper takes it in short from McDermott. It's advantage, says the referee. Donaldson on out. Wonderful offload. Australia 2 meters out. No try there. He couldn't hold on to the ball. Was it Angus Bell, the loose head? But Samu Currie handing off his opposite number, Nick Tompkins, brushing him aside. And the Wallabies punching a lovely hole there, just coming up short. What an exciting start to this Pool C clash. No emotion from Eddie Jones. The time is off now. There's a slight injury. I think it's Dan Bigger. So Wales hit the early lead through Gareth Davis. What's a worrying sign is it was first phase ball. The Wallabies would not want to swallow that one easily. And as you see, Gareth Anscombe warming up on the sideline, ready to come on. Lovely little offload from the lock forward there, Richie Arnold. Post contact. And then Angus Bell just not able to hold on to the ball. Bigger looks in a little bit of trouble here. Ominous signs for Wales and Warren Gatland should Dan Bigger go off the field. The large reason for putting their forwards in the right place is due to that man. The time is off. Have your perceptions changed after that early try? Do you think Wales are going to run away with it, guys? And who is winning this Rugby World Cup? I think that's a very interesting question. I'd like some feedback on that. And Australia have chosen to go for the posts. Ben Donaldson will have the opportunity now to put Australia on the board. A lot has happened in this first 10 minutes. And Australia now with the opportunity via Ben Donaldson to get onto the scoreboard. Punches it straight down the middle. And Australia still trail 3 points to 7. But importantly, they're on the scoreboard into the opposition's 22, forcing the error and converting the points. Wales will kick off. Deep into Australia's 22. McDermott at the base. Finds a good touch on this right-hand touchline. So he had the safety of the touchline. He was inside his 22. And Australia relieving the pressure immediately, but at the same time gifting possession back to Wales. Wales with the wonderful feed and catch in the line out. It's come off Australian hand as he tried to chip it forward there. And the Wallabies have possession outside their own 22 now. McDermott, Donaldson, fumble. He's in a heap of trouble here, but away comes Kellaway now. Fighting his way, but brought to ground, and McDermott, 5 meters out from this left-hand touchline, about 10 meters out from Australia's own try line, wants to relieve the pressure now with the kick at the base. The referee calling use it, and indeed McDermott does just that with another lovely clearance. Finds touch between halfway and the 10-meter mark, still inside Australia's territory, but a wonderful net gain there. A fumble from Donaldson, so Australia there for a moment with their hearts in their mouths, but managed to get the pressure relieved. Wales this time lose their own line out. Australia, Currie comes away with it. The ball is loose. McDermott chips it ahead. There's space here. And Wales hoof the ball downfield. The referee has stopped play here, and I think it's going to be a penalty to Australia. From what I saw, it might have been a deliberate knockdown there from Liam Williams. In fact, it was, so Australia will have the penalty. And Dan Biggar, big news coming out of Leon, he's going off the field with Dan Biggar. Is that Wales's opportunity gone in this Rugby World Cup? They have to get through this game, remember? And Gareth Anscombe comes on earlier than he would have thought. We await to hear the impact or the extent of that injury. I beg your pardon, it's not a penalty, it's a scrum, so it wasn't deliberate. However, it was knocked on. George Boucher, Russie's the best coach in the world. Definitely in that conversation, my brother. Australia with the feed now, centre field. Inside Wales territory, and the referee playing advantage. Australia punched through in the scrum. Physical domination from the Wallabies over Wales there. You kind of wonder, was that a psychological blow? Dan Biggar going off. Just for a moment, Wales losing their concentration, and the Wallabies now with the opportunity to take some more points whilst visiting opposition territory. And immediately, Ben Donaldson has pointed for the posts. Straight out in front, about 30 meters. Distance shouldn't be a problem. He's been kicking well, as we mentioned, all tournament. Ben Donaldson. Bank a ball for 3 points for Australia. Should he get it over? He's been kicking well. Always interesting seeing them take a look at the stadium clock as well. But Donaldson shapes towards the ball and straight down the middle again. Ease and grace for Ben Donaldson, and Australia trailed by 1. This game is on a knife edge as we move towards the end of the first quarter. Still early days in this game. Wales kick off. Taken by Valentini. He'll always go route 1 for Australia, Rob Valentini. But brought to ground, and McDermott been very busy tonight at the base. Shapes for a kick. Not quite the distance he would have liked, but Australia come away with the loose ball via Valentini. Tackled by the ankle laces there, Valentini. Had to go down, but Australia still in possession. Tucked up against this left-hand touchline. Corabetti, pick and go from the base. Good speed from the Wallabies now. Angus Bell, the loose head, loves to carry the ball. The Australians finding some space via Ben Donaldson. Not only is he efficient at kicking for goal, but finding some space behind the fullback Liam Williams there. Down that right-hand touchline. And Wales now 13 meters from their own try line with the feed. Taken by Wales there. For Rowlands. But Australia come back. They're on the Welsh 10-meter mark now, playing towards this left-hand touchline. It's Currie. Show and go, but brought to ground. Wales trying to hold him up there, but the ball is presented for McDermott. Wonderful step there, and the Wallabies are away. It's a loose ball though now, and Wales get an opportunity to relieve the pressure. It's Josh Adams, the left winger, with the hoof upfield, and Australia had to track all the way back via that man, Andrew Callaway. Just like that, things can change for a minute there. What a step. Just not able to collect the ball there. Wales come away with it. A wonderful turn of pace from Josh Adams to chase that kick. But Callaway just had a few meters on him. And Australia now will have an opportunity to clear their own lines. And the pendulum swings. Big hit there on Gareth Anscombe. I'm sure you'll be feeling that one. He's just come on the field for Dan Biggar. Definitely can't afford to lose him right now. Ben Donaldson with a goal line dropout for Australia. It's bouncing past halfway, and Wales come running into Australia's territory now. Gareth Davis at the base. Wales been starved of a little bit of possession the last few minutes. This time around, they do get a penalty. Australia with the error there. Tom Hooper with the infringement at the base, and Wales via Gareth Anscombe would want to reply with the 3 points of their own. They're on the 10-meter mark inside Australia's territory, so about 40 meters out, but also more or less straight out in front. Not much of an angle, so distance, not a problem. It's just direction. Kicks win matches, guys. Do we agree? I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but kicks win matches. Get your 3 points, get your 2 points, and the rest will sort itself out. Gareth Anscombe, what the opportunity for Wales now. Put himself and his country on the score sheet to 10 points. Gareth Anscombe with the kick. It's shaving, it's hit the left hand upright. The ball is still in play. Kellaway hoofs it upfield and finds a wonderful touch. Australia breathe. The ball was sailing, but always towards that left hand upright. And Australia get the lucky bounce of the ball, and Kellaway clears the lines. No 3 points for Wales. Valuable 3 points missed. On the halfway mark now on this right-hand touchline, Wales feed and start to maul. Put under a lot of pressure earlier in that scrum, Wales. But the forwards responding now with the maul of their own, and another penalty on Australia's 10-meter mark. Will this be another opportunity? Deja vu for Gareth Anscombe. I think he's immediately pointed for the posts. The Australian forwards, they're not in sync. Lovely set from Wales. And in fact, he will be going for another shot at goal. Last opportunity he missed. Quick lessons now. You'd want to get this one. More or less the same distance, just slightly off towards that right-hand touchline. Gareth Anscombe for Wales. Deep breath. Last look at his target. Kicks the ball this time around. Has the distance, has the direction, and Wales are up by 10 points to 6. We're into the second quarter of this game. You see the captain, Jack Morgan, already early on with some battle scars, battered and bruised. Australia again go deep. That's been a tactic tonight for both teams from the kickoff. Force them to clear their lines from deep. Gareth Davis at the base. Shapes to kick. The ball is in field. Here come Australia. Samu Kerevi down this right-hand touchline, playing towards Australia's halfway or the halfway mark. McDermott at the base. Donaldson. It's Angus Bell, the loose head now. Donaldson again. Australia using the big men in midfield. Koroibete chips ahead. Pataya with a lovely chase, but Wales have possession. And Louis Rees-Zammit comes away with the ball. He's got electric pace. We're down this left-hand touchline. We're back inside Australia's 10-meter mark. And Wales with the counter-ruck. It's frenetic stuff here. But a slight knock-on. And for a moment, both teams can breathe as we see Liam Williams, the fullback, also having taken a heavy knock. They can ill afford to lose him. Another experienced head at fullback. Chase lines were good from Australia. But Wales with a beautiful counter ruck. Reza, Bayet, shout out my brother Reza. What do you say about the Springboks, my brother? Are you backing the Aussies, eh? Timey Wallaby down. Time is off at the moment. Liam Williams seems to have recovered. They say you don't play rugby, you suffer rugby. And Wales already taking a casualty in their fly-off. Dan Bigger off the field. Is that the end of his World Cup? We don't want to preempt it, but we saw with so many injuries to important players, the Malcolm Marx, Francis Anton Dupont out injured. Apparently he will be back with a fixed cheekbone. Will he play a further part? So these big players dropping out of the World Cup, not great to see. But at the same time, every single player who replaces them has the opportunity to fill such special boots, take their team across to that famous William Webb Ellis Cup. Australia feed the scrum via Tate McDermott. Australia with another scrum penalty. So punch for punch here at Leon Stadium. Wales having the upper hand at the set piece and mauls, but Australia dominating in the scrum. Reza, I hear you, brother. I apologize. I'll let it scab. I'll let it scab. Evan, I hear you. Donaldson, very hit and miss at the moment. The thing with him is he's kicking his goals. So if he's getting his points, I think the coach is always going to back him. And I think he's also playing out of position there. As Australia come away with the ball, Valentini, we're on Wales's 10-meter mark down this left-hand touchline. Rob Leota, wonderful little show and go. Turn of pace from the number 6 of Australia, McDermott, Donaldson, Currie busts it up the middle. We're into the Welsh 22 now. It's Pataya. He's wrapped up. Wales have come straight through the middle. And it's turnover. The Welsh now with the opportunity to play. No, says the referee. Initially, he said it was okay. But in fact, Australia do get some reward from that wonderful, exciting play. Individual brilliance from Rob Leota down this left-hand touchline for Australia. Wales infringing at that ruck. And this time around, backing themselves, the Wallabies. Donaldson has pointed for the touchline. We're on this right-hand touchline, 6 meters out. Australia with the feed. Still trailing by those 4 points. So within a score, but Purecki desperate to find his man here. And an awful line out from David Purecki. Hands Wales the opportunity to come away with the ball. There's a chase here. And the line out will take place. "20 meters out on Australia from their own try line now. From end to end there, Gareth Davis with the 50-22. The ball bobbling into touch. I was just trying to make sense of it there, but it is a Welsh line out. Awful throw there from David Purecki, it must be said. And the Welsh now with the opportunity inside Australia's 22. Aaron Wainwright takes it up for Wales. Gareth Davis at the base now. We centre field inside Australia's 22. And Scum. The cleaners are there. The lock forward. Wall Rowlands takes it up. Fuller-Tau, pick and go. Wales with possession. Gareth Thomas, the loose head. But it's Davis again. Anscombe. No advantage, says the referee. Nothing came of that. Liam Williams wrapped up there. But another penalty, this time to Wales. So from one end to another, Wales have the opportunity to extend that lead from 10 to 13, I'm sure. Gareth Anscombe steps up to the tee. Australia will be ruining that line-out miss 6 meters from the Welsh line. I don't want to be in the change rooms when Eddie Jones asks for any sort of explanation. Where were the jumpers? Nobody jumped. Nobody communicated. Wales kicked it upfield. Lucky bounce of the ball, I guess. But you have to put yourself in that position. Gareth Davis with the 50-22. And the result is Wales have an opportunity to get 3 points from the replacement. Gareth Anscombe. Finds his target, boot to ball, it's sailing, it's over for Wales. It's 13 points to 6, they lead. Australia hold score now to even draw level away in this game. How will the bench factor in the second half for both sides as Donaldson gets us underway again? Fuller-Tau with the catch. They're still inside their own 22, Wales. Carter Paul says, poor Eddie, I hear you, my brother. Great coach, young side, short space of time, but the Wallabies fight on here. Tucked up in this left-hand touchline now, McDermott playing from left to right. Finds Valentini in the midfield. He's brought to ground though. Australia recycle quickly. Knock on there. In contact, and Wales forcing an error from the Wallabies, not able to hold on to that ball there. It was Tom Hooper. He had Gareth Anscombe and George North on his case there. So an unforced error there. You want to hold on to that ball. Precious possession. Not only is possession important territory as well, and at the moment, Australia do or have scored when they've gotten down into the Welsh 22 via those 2 penalties, but they're not getting there often enough. That golden opportunity, 5-6 meters out from Wales's try line, that went a begging, and Wales now with the opportunity from that knock-on in contact from Tom Hooper to feed the scrum. Just about on halfway. Fuller-Tau to Davis. Finds a little chip or grubber kick ahead, and away comes Kellaway. Breaks the first tackle. Australia want to be efficient at the breakdown. Wales have been coming through with a counter ruck on 2 occasions now. Ball security important. McDermott shapes to kick. The chase is good. The catch is good from Wales though. Gareth Anscombe under the high ball, safe with his hands. Wales on their own 10-meter mark now, playing towards the right-hand touchline. Little bit of blindside move there, but he's brought to ground. Australia's defense holding up, obviously conceding that first try early on, but since then it's been all penalties. Australia have possession back in their own halfway, or their own half now. From their 10-meter mark, McDermott puts it back into Welsh territory under the high ball. 2 knock-ons there. Maybe the ball's a little bit slippery at this point, but not able to hold on to the ball there, Wales. So Australia will have the feet to the scrum, and this is the one area where they have been dominant, is in the scrums, winning a couple of scrum penalties. We haven't seen much of Mark Nawaqanitawase tonight, the right winger. Young, exciting player for Australia. Is his name on the writing in the second half? Australia, will they need something special? From where in the world are you guys tuned in? We're really interested to know. Tell me, from where are you watching? Where in the world, or where in South Africa are you enjoying this game on this public holiday? Heritage Day in South Africa. So there's no work tomorrow. We can enjoy some rugby. Australia with the feed via McDermott. This time around, a more contestable affair at the scrum, but Australia gets solid possession, and Currie punches it down the middle. Here comes Nawaqanitawase looking for work from the right wing. He's wrapped up, and Australia feed quickly. McDermott, Donaldson inside. Kellaway, slippery man to bring down. Ball security important for the Wallabies here. They're into the Welsh half now, playing from left to right. Jordan Pataya from McDermott. Tom Hooper tackled behind the advantage line. Australia moving a little bit laterally now. We need someone to go straight down the middle. Valentini in over the ball, but McDermott feeds. Loose pass there from Samu Karevi, not finding his man. Some tired bodies in this first half. It's been frenetic, end-to-end stuff. The score might suggest otherwise, but it's been very exciting, with each team forcing their hand, showing a glimpse of dominance, only to concede to the other side's glimpse of dominance. End-to-end stuff. The fans on the edge of their seats. Time is off, and Rob Leota gets some attention for Australia now. Of course, he was involved earlier on in that wonderful break down the blind side. They are reliant on him as a ball carrier. But the scrum halves involved tonight, and for Wales, it was that man, Gareth Davis, who scored early on, running a wonderful support line off his captain, Jack Morgan. Wales still lead 10 points to 6. Carter Paul says Brisbane. You're obviously supporting the Wallabies. We've got some Gauteng here. Fantastic TV. Johannes, Western Cape. Boland. Jy is in die Boland. RPG says Durban, Essex, UK from Jay. wonderful having all of you on board watching this game. The Rugby World Cup is heating up. Sassy, the Australian Sasquatch. I gather you are watching from Australia, of course. Hello, Sassy, the Sasquatch. Charles says Wales, of course. Very confident there, Charles. As Wales find Josh Adams on this right-hand touchline, but it isn't to touch there from the line out. Wales finding some space. Gareth Anscombe with that educated boot, almost finding his man there. Down the right-hand touchline, kick pass. Josh Adams just about had it, but a foot in touch. Mark Noah Kanetawase done just enough to disrupt Josh Adams there in Australia. Breathe again. McDermott from the line out. Australia outside their 22. The referee calling Wales onside. No safety of touch, so McDermott will go high. There's a good chase, but safe from Liam Williams. In the thick of things tonight from the fullback, Liam Williams. Safe pair of hands, Wales. 15 metres out from the right-hand touchline, on halfway now, via Gareth Davis at the base. Up and under, and it's wonderfully taken by Josh Adams. Wales on Australia's 22 now. Gareth Davis. Finds Adam Beard. Toby Follatel comes charging down the middle. We're back on the 22, so not a lot of net meters gained. But Wales, importantly, still in possession, and that man, George North, fights his way to ground, but keeps possession alive for Wales. Australia defending for their lives now. The ball is out. No, says the referee. And Wales will have another opportunity up, perhaps. Dead centre, Wayne Barnes says Rob Valentini was offside. The ball was not out. It seemed to have scooted out of that ruck there. But in fact, it was at the feet of Gareth Davis, and the Wallabies there will not be enjoying that penalty. Australia trail 6 points to 13. And Anscombe has another opportunity to put Wales further ahead. More than a single score. Building the pressure for the Wallabies. Will they respond in the second half? There's only 2 minutes left to play in this first half. Anscombe, boot to ball. It's sailing. It's over. Only missed that one kick since he's come on that hit the left-hand upright. But he's been on the money for Wales since then. And Wales lead 16 points to 6 at the OL Stadium. Can the Wallabies respond just before half-time? Or is that the momentum Wales need for the second half to take this game home? And an unforced error from Australia there, I think. Yes, it's Ben Donaldson kicking the ball straight into touch. All going a little bit pear-shaped here for the Wallabies. It will be a scrum on halfway. Wales with another attacking platform, left or right here. Jamarcus I hear you, brother. The ball, I also thought the ball was out, but it was actually at the feet of Gareth Davis, and he was then still part of the ruck, the way he was latching. So it was offside there. That's just my opinion. I know there's many ways we swing the cat here, because some referees would have called the ball out. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Wales with the feed now. On halfway. It's advantage to Wales. They've pushed Australia off the ball now, and here come Wales. George North, Louis Rees-Zammit down this left-hand touchline. They bring him and hold him up just short. Wales break away from that scrum. They had the scrum advantage, but decided to play there. It almost looked like they were walking around. But George North, with a little step inside, took away the other defender, gave the ball out to Louis Rees-Zammit, and he was just held up over the line. And that, in fact, is half-time at the moment here at the OL Stadium. Wales lead by 16 points to 6 against Australia. It's all to play for in Pool C. Stay tuned for the second half.
Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reese. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. BITDEFENDER is a global leader in cyber security. BITDEFENDER is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with BITDEFENDER, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on BITDEFENDER, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, BITDEFENDER, for joining the channel. I've been Reese here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much.
everybody, Stevie P here from Forever Sports, and I'm here to tell you about BOYLESPORTS, the official betting partner of Forever Sports. Across all of our channels, they are one of the leading betting companies in the world and have recently launched in South Africa with an amazing offering. You can get a 1,000 Rand welcome offer. For the rugby, they are giving you 25% payout boost up to 2,000 Rand on the Springboks winning the World Cup, as well as an extra 50 Rand bet when you stake 250 more on rugby during the Rugby World Cup. It is your one-stop betting shop. That is BOYLESPORTS. Come and join us in the community. Check the links in the description to sign up, get yourself an account, and make sure that you are winning big with BOYLESPORTS. Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Fair Sport for today's World Rugby Rankings preview. The third round of the Rugby World Cup gets underway tonight, and with it, there are a lot of permutations, lots of things that can happen, lots on the line with regards to how the world rankings are affected, especially because the number one spot is up for grabs. 1 versus 2 in the Springboks versus Ireland this weekend, which will affect the number one spot. Ireland got an opportunity to put themselves way ahead, whilst the Springboks got an opportunity to try and get themselves back to being, at least from a ranking perspective, the best in the world, as they currently compete to be named the best in the world. And after a 7-1 split announcement yesterday, very interested to see what will happen between South Africa and Ireland. Now, before I look at some of the permutations, and there are quite a few of them, so you're going to have to sort of buckle in a little bit and understand exactly what is on offer and at stake this weekend. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, let's go through them, shall we? So World Rugby has published these ranking permutations, so it's a bit of a preview as to what's going to happen over the next few days in terms of the different clashes. Now, if you're new to the ranking system, there's a whole bunch of things that usually come into play. However, at the moment, there is no home or away advantage, which usually does come into play. But because these are all neutral grounds, for example, even France, it's a neutral game because it is a tournament. They will not receive any different ranking points due to them having the home ground advantage, which means the only thing that are currently affecting the rankings are a win, loss, or draw, and then a win or loss by 15 or more points. So those are the only factors that are affecting the rankings, not home and away as well, which usually come into it. Obviously, what does affect the amount of points you can get for those sort of different factors will still depend on sort of the ranking of the team you're playing against. So, for example, there are more ranking points on offer when you play against a higher team than when you play a low-ranked team. So, let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, the first thing is the number one ranking is on the line in the Pool B encounter between Ireland and South Africa at St. Denis on Saturday. South Africa could end Ireland's 14-month reign at the top if they are to win. And Andy Farrell's men will actually drop down to third. So Ireland will go down to third if France are victorious over Namibia. And if you've seen that French side, I think it's a pretty good bet. This is despite the fact that the World Cup hosts cannot improve their rating as a result of the 28.98 rating points between the two sides. However, Ireland will hold on to the number one ranking if they draw with South Africa, even though it won't be a lot of points. So if they draw, they will still hold on to the world ranking, world number one, but they'll be only number one by 0.09 points. A win would see Ireland's cushion over South Africa grow to as much as 6.05 ranking points if the margin of victory is more than 15 points. If beaten, South Africa will also slip below France, a victorious France, into third place. So a win first, a loss third. We won't stay second, as far as I understand, this weekend. Defeat for France, however, would see them drop below New Zealand, who do not play this weekend, into fourth place. However, they can fall no further than fourth. So the top four teams will not change with regards to anybody moving into the top four. That just the positions of them might change as well. Two other teams that are unable to improve their rating points are England and Scotland, even if they have victories over Chile and Tonga, respectively. England's rating is 22.75 points better than Chile's, while Scotland's is 13.4 points higher than Tonga's. Scotland and England, therefore, will remain 5th and 6th, respectively, with victories. England could move above Scotland if they were to win and Scotland were to lose. If Scotland were to lose, they could be falling as many as 5 places to 10th if they were to lose to Tonga, depending on other margins and results. A defeat could see England drop to a new low of 9th, depending on other results. A draw between Wales and Australia, one of the biggest clashes of the weekend, could actually could see their Pool C rivals Fiji climb 1 place to equal their base position of 7th at the expense of the Welsh, whilst Fiji, who do not play this weekend, could actually jump as high as 5th if England and Scotland both lose and Australia and Wales draw. Australia will fall to a new low of 10th if they lose their Pool C meeting with Wales and Argentina beat Samoa. However, victory for the Wallabies could see them jump as high as 5th in the event that England and Scotland both suffer shock defeat. So England and Scotland lose, Australia win, they can go up to 5th. Defeat for Samoa will see them drop down to 2 places to 13th if Italy and Georgia beat the lower-ranked Uruguay and Portugal, whilst a win for Samoa will see them rise to 9th, climbing above both Argentina and the loser of the Wales-Australia match. Manu Samoa have not been ranked as high as 9th since 2015. Portugal will become the higher ranked of the two nations for the first time if they beat Georgia in Toulouse, whilst they have not beaten their rivals since 2005, but a new high awaits them if they can record their first ever World Cup win. Portugal could climb as high as 13th, depending on the margin of victory and the result of other matches. Georgia, on the other hand, will fall 1 place below Japan if held to a second draw in as many years by Portugal, 2 if Tonga shocks Scotland. They can only improve on their 13th place in victory if Italy fail to beat Uruguay or Samoa are beaten by Argentina. If both of them lose, then Georgia will climb to 11th, the record-equaling position they were in when the tournament kicked off. Uruguay will have to beat Italy by more than 15 points to become the higher ranked of the two nations, a scenario which should see them equal their highest position of 14th. Defeat for Italy would see them fall 2 places, between 2 and 4 places, depending on the margin and results of teams around them. A win for Tonga against Scotland will see them climb above at least Japan, with the Brave Blossoms not playing this weekend. Any further games will depend on the margin of victory and other results. Namibia will return to the top 20 for the first time since 2017 if they can beat France, whilst Chile can enter the top 20 for the first time if they can upset England and record their first ever World Cup victory, and Namibia fail to beat France. Simple. So there's a lot going on, and that's the nice thing about World Cups. There's so many matches, differently ranked teams and stuff like that. So some games have a lot of jeopardy, some of them have no jeopardy. The big thing for me is obviously that first spot, first place is up for grabs. After that, I think the 5th, 6th, 7th is interesting. Wales is going to be interesting. Wales, Australia, they could be falling quite low or rising quite high. So there's a lot to play for this weekend with regards to the rankings, if you count them all, and if you really sort of hide them in high esteem, which a lot of people don't. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Can South Africa beat Ireland? Who will be the number 1 ranked side come Monday? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon.
Come back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. We're at the OL Stadium. The second half awaits us. Australia up against Wales. Australia trail by 6 points to 16. So Wales have that comfortable cushion in being more than 1 score away. Australia will have to hit first in the second half. I'm sure there's been some stern words from Eddie Jones. 40 minutes of rugby for Australia on the line. Is his job on the line? Do let me know in the comments what you think of Eddie Jones as a coach. Do you think he's picked a side that will be worthy at a World Cup in the future? Do you think it was him pulling the trigger too soon on the experienced players, especially the Aussie fans? What do you say? I must also just correct myself earlier on. Philip mentioned or corrected me to say it was a penalty to Wales for off feet diving onto the ball. So it wasn't offside, but you're not allowed to dive onto the ball from the base. So thank you there, Philip. Wales get the ball, or they get the second half underway with a kickoff. Playing from right to left now. Australia can't get the ball out the maul, and immediately Wales get an attacking scrum on this left-hand touchline, but more importantly, inside Australia's 22. Richie Arnold, they're struggling to release the ball, and Wales holding it up, disrupting the smooth transition. So Wales have the opportunity to attack. Australia must be resolute on defence. Gareth Davis with the ball in hand to feed for Wales. They've won 1 or 2 scrum penalties of their own. So it's been quite a tussle up front. Gareth Davis feeds. It's wheeling again, and this time around the referee, Wayne Barnes, says Wales put all the pressure on, and Australia crumbling in the scrum now. So after the initial ascendancy, it's not looking good for Australia. And Gareth Anscombe, so far today or this evening, Wales hero from the bench, kicking the goals. Wales with the opportunity now to put the scoreline more than 2 scores, or just about 2 scores ahead. Australia would have to score twice and then still prevent Wales from scoring. So there might not be many tries, but this is one of those games where if you kick your goals, the chances are you'll win the game. And Gareth Anscombe, only with the 1 solitary miss this evening, lines up this kick for Wales. Just outside Australia's 22. About 10 metres in from the left-hand touchline. Anscombe puts it down the middle for Wales and gets another valuable 3 points. Wales lead 19-6. Australia would be desperate for points now, but in order to score the points, you've got to earn the right. Can their forwards find some physical domination to counter this Welsh ascendancy now? Wales with the regather from the start, the restart. Dick, I hear you. The draw was an interesting one in terms of, we're saying the Northern Hemisphere teams, the top 4 on this way, that side. But the Rugby World Cup is playing out nicely for us, as you mentioned. We find the passion, excitement in each game. We draw it out, we manifest it. And Australia have to manifest something now. But it's turned over. Wales have intercepted. Wonderful sniping there from Gareth Davis. You can't miss him with the blonde hair. But playing efficiently from 9. Wales with the up and under. And a wonderful catch in the air there. From the right wing of Australia, Mark Nawaqanitawase, showing his array of skills. Playing him in the air, Wales. So Australia do have a penalty. Donaldson finds touch just about inside or on Wales's 10-metre mark on this left-hand touchline. Josh Adams there just got his timing wrong on Mark Nawaqanitawase, and Australia with the feed. Another line out gone wrong for Australia. So I mentioned earlier the set pieces will be important. And David Parecki Most certainly not finding a straight throw there. That one was clear from the referee, plain to see. So Australia not able to build any momentum. The set piece is where it starts. You want to have ball retention. You want to have forwards coming around the corner, taking it up. And then you want to send it wide. But for the moment, Australia getting stifled at the set piece line out especially. The scrums have been shaky. Wales will feel the momentum has shifted well in their favour as Gareth Davis is ready to feed the scrum on the 15-metre touch mark on Welsh's 10 metres. Another dominant scrum from Wales. It's advantage. Gareth Davis puts the kick ahead for Josh Adams. Just a little too much on that kick down the left-hand touchline here. Rolling into touch just as Josh Adams was about to get to it. But the scrum popped up there. A lot of pressure on the Australian scrum. And Wales taking the free play. But the touchline winning the race. In fact, it is another 50-22 as well. Just to pick that up, Josh Adams comes away with it now. After successful Wales catching the line out. Counter ruck from Australia, but we're inside the Australian 22. When Wales visit Australia's 22, they seem to have also come away with points. And Australia can ill afford that right now. Straight down the middle go Wales. Davis at the base. Finds his lock forward, Rollins. Tompkins to North. The two centre pairings coming together. George North wriggling away. Wales still about 20 metres out now. Right out in front of the post. Centre field. Playing towards the right-hand touchline. Little chip kick ahead. Wonderful try for Wales. He saw the space at the back. Australia not coming around enough, or in time, should I say. And Gareth Anscombe, with what would seem a remote control on his foot, put the little chip kick ahead over the defence. And there was nobody back there. And Wales have just landed a killer blow. And it's Nick Tompkins, the inside centre for Wales. Showing he also has a turn of speed. You can see what it means to the Welsh players and fans alike. And for a moment, Warren Gatland can breathe as Wales have a comfortable cushion with the kick to come from Gareth Anscombe. We mentioned losing Dan Biggar would be catastrophic for Wales, but what a time to step up for Gareth Anscombe this evening. This crucial Pool C clash. Gareth Anscombe converts the kick after that wonderful try assist with a chip kick over the top. Has another hand by scoring the extra 2 points. And Wales now 26 points to 6 up. They're running away with it in the second half. Australia were the ones who were desperate to score first. And just as I say that, Rob Leota will be coming off for Australia. So after that initial impact Rob Leota has rather gotten quiet. And now Australia desperate to make something happen. Donaldson kicks it away aimlessly. Gareth Davis has kicked well tonight. Kellaway, he finds touch, but a net gain for Wales there. We're on Australia's 10-meter mark on this left-hand touch line. And Australia need to start from some sort of platform. Ezekiel Ikioni says bye-bye Australia. As Wales come away with the ball now. Gareth Davis, it's another chip kick. This time, too much on it. But Australia's discipline. A high shot there on Nick Tompkins, who just scored that wonderful try for Wales. Summer Currie, the guilty party there. From the line out, Wales playing centre field. You've got to keep it lower than that. And Wales have another opportunity now to pull further ahead. Here at the OL Stadium in Lyon. Shout out for all the players that they call the bench. In South Africa, we know them as the finishers. But today, Gareth Anscombe, who was meant to finish, will basically started this resurgence, and he will finish that indeed. Taking a look at that try, the timing, the weight of the kick, the vision to see the space, and Australia had no answer. Massive moment in this game. And pure elation from the fans at the OL Stadium. Shout out to Stevie P and the team who are on the ground at the stadium. Keep that wonderful coverage coming, brother. Stay safe. Enjoy the atmosphere. Cherish the moment. And for this moment, Wales have the opportunity now to put themselves ahead, which would say Australia need to score at least 4 times. And when you say it like that, it does look a little bit hazy for Australia. Gareth Anscombe makes no mistake from the tee, strikes it down the middle. Who cares about the one miss? He's got the rest of them, and he's put Wales in a very commanding position at 29 points to 6. Are we awaiting one of the comebacks of a Rugby World Cup? Australia would be desperate to score next to make that an even remote possibility. But a knock on there from the restart. The chase was good from Nawakani Tawase, but he just couldn't hold on. And Carter Gordon, the young fly-off on the bench, is coming on for Ben Donaldson. Playing out of position tonight, remember Ben Donaldson. Very reliable with the boot, but perhaps Carter Gordon, the more attacking orientated fly-off, and they need to attack now. They're not going to win this game in threes anymore, Australia. Wales with the feed. They're still on their own 10-meter mark here on this left-hand touch line. Within the 15-meter touch mark. The referee with the reset. But Wales, importantly, still have possession. Australia desperate to get their hands on that pole. Get down to the other end and do it all over again. They're going to need something special. Can these players, this young squad of Eddie Jones, think on their feet? They've got to adapt to the situation now. Trail 6 points to 29, the Wallabies. Wales with another scrum feed and another scrum penalty. An abysmal showing in the scrum after gaining a little bit of ascendancy early on, Australia. Wales in sync, powering together and winning another scrum penalty. And Anscombe with the opportunity to put the ball deep into Australia's territory now. Australia with those lineouts as well. I think the set pieces have been a little bit of an issue. Not being able to start anything off a base, and Wales won the line out on this left-hand touchline. We just about on Australia's 10-meter mark. Davis steers at the back, finds Tompkins, brushes off one. The ball is loose. It's another chip ahead from Davis. And he's put Wales deep into Australia's 22 now. He's kicked well all night, the scrum off. Ball in hand. His passes have been accurate. His speed to the breakdown has been quick. But his boot has been so educated for Wales, and Australia are forced now to play from deep. McDermott, Valentini. Australia still inside their own 22. McDermott to Gordon. And he finds a touch on this right-hand touchline for Australia. But again, gifting possession back. They'll need to contest at the lineouts. Before you look, time will be running out for Australia, so it needs to start now. Wales. Clean ball from the lineout and straight through goes George North into Australia's 22. We centre field playing towards this left-hand touchline. Wonderful skip ball. Josh Adams. He's only 4 meters out. Forward pass, says the referee. Almost spectacular there from the Welsh. Lovely short ball there to George North. And Wales keeping the pressure on Australia, but for the moment the Wallabies can exit. We're almost closing in towards this last quarter of this crucial game. And for the moment, the pendulum is well in Wales's favour. Australia need to play from deep. RPG says he's crying now, he's so happy. I take it you're a serious Welsh fan, my brother, or you just like the Wallabies that much because they're crumbling here this evening at the OL Stadium. They're still deep in their own half, just outside their 22 now, playing towards this left-hand touchline. An awful kick there from McDermott. And Wales have a penalty advantage. Or perhaps, I think it's a scrum advantage. No, in fact, it is a penalty advantage there. Again, an unforced error, a silly kick from the base there. The ball going straight up into the air. Australia can ill afford another penalty conceded. And this will take the game very clear now. Sharp shooter Gareth Anscombe to step up for Wales. Discipline has been an issue as we look at the coach's box of Australia. Dead silence. No response here. It's been all Wales in the second half. And for the most part, it's been all this man, Gareth Anscombe. The replacement early on for Dan Biggar stepped up to the party in this game. Put his kicks over, has the opportunity now as he shapes again to kick. Finds his target, kicks another one, and Wales stretch their lead 32 points to 6. We're into the last 20 minutes. Just about. Selassie Vunivalu on for Australia now. More attacking capability, but at the same time lose Andrew Callaway at fullback. Straight swap there. And that man, Gareth Davis, is coming off for Wales. Australia have to play from deep at any cost at the moment, fighting for the scraps. They have possession just outside Wales's 22. McDermott, Korobetti at first 5. They need to create some magic now. Carter Gordon, Currie, still not beyond the 22 now, but up against the right-hand touchline, playing towards centre field. Come Australia. McDermott, quick ball. Gordon, the loose forward. Angus Bell takes it up. Carter Gordon again to Jordan Pataya. It's frenetic here from Australia, but not reaping much post-contact gains now. Still in possession. Wales defending stoutly. Wales holding up the Australian player there. Not able to release himself. Didn't get his knee to the ground. And that attack from Australia is brought to a grinding halt. A collective effort there from the players. It was Marika Korobetti, just couldn't dip down quick enough. George North, amongst other players there, holding up Marika Korobetti, winning the scrum. And Wales back in position. Kwasi says, sad day, Australia. Yeah, we might hear some reports coming back by tomorrow that Eddie Jones won't be there any longer. We don't hope for anything negative to happen to coaches. They take the blame sometimes for things that are a collective. So he's such a passionate rugby guy. It's just unfortunate that we get to see it unfold in front of our eyes. But a brilliant, brilliant coach nonetheless. The players also need to take responsibility now. Australian players. Wales again in the scrum. The referee says use it this time around. No scrum advantage. But Wales still in possession. We're up to their own 10-meter mark. Pick and go there. The replacement scrum half for Wales, Thomas Williams, on for Gareth Davis, as we mentioned, who had a wonderful game starting at 9. And another unforced error for Australia. Noah Kanetawase has put the ball straight out on the full. Australia will have to defend. We're on their own 22. We're on Australia's 22 on this right-hand touchline. Wales with the feed. Tompkins couldn't hold on there. Was clean ball from the line out. Australia with the scrum. I'm not sure they'd be enjoying the idea of scrumming now, especially not 15, 20 meters from their own try line. Faletau with the clean catch to his captain. And then off to Nick Tompkins, who just couldn't hold on. Nick Tompkins, of course, tonight scoring a try for Wales. You felt at that moment was the blow that demoralized the Wallabies somewhat psychologically. Yeah, Philip, I hear you. I don't care as much for Wales, but I do hear you that for rugby in itself. But for us Southern Hemisphere guys, we want the Wallabies to be the David Campeses, the Stephen Larkham days, as Noah Kanetawase there comes away with the ball. We're almost up to halfway, but throwing it carelessly into touch, and Wales had the line out. Australia trying to break from deep there, finding some space, but just a little bit impatient post-contact, trying to force the pass there. Yeah, as I mentioned, Stephen Larkham, George Cregan, Owen Finnegan, Josh Eels, back in the days with the Tri-Nations. And the Wallabies of late have also been wonderful. You just kind of wonder, was the change in culture between Dave Rennie and Eddie Jones, was it too sudden? Was the clean out too sudden? So as us Southern Hemisphere guys say, we want Australia, we want the All Blacks always to be playing at their best, because there's nothing better in world rugby than having those teams. For us as South Africans, test match in Brisbane or a test match in Wellington, always an exciting affair, but for Wales here, they've taken this game away from Australia. There's only 13 minutes to play as we see Wales make a few substitutions. The finishers will come on and finish the game off. You kind of think time has run out for Australia now. Tace, I hear you say Eddie thinks he's bigger than the game. Do you perhaps think he's under a bit of pressure, or under a lot of pressure? Do you think he's taken responsibility and he's just misinterpreted sometimes? But I take your point, brother. As George North comes away with it, Wales only 5 meters out. It's falling apart for the Wallabies now. Josh Adams on this left-hand touchline, not finding a way through, but Wales still in possession. Faletau. Thomas Williams at the base. It's loose now. Australia pick it up. They've got to play from deep. Not able to hold on to the ball there. It was Samu Currie. And the pressure mounting on Australia and having a profound impact on the ability to perform. It's head in hands for Eddie Jones. Obi from Sedgefield, I hear you, brother. The Welsh have massive hearts. They put it all in tonight, that's for sure. Yeah, Evan South Africa playing in the Six Nations, do you think that'll be a great idea? They are talking about this global calendar for rugby. Is that good for rugby in general and for the tier 2 nations? Are we going to lose that rivalry we had between the Springboks and the All Blacks? I think there's even talk of us never playing in our original kits ever again. Those are smaller nuances, but I think we've got to also adapt to the changing landscape. But for Australia tonight, I don't think they would have imagined themselves so far down the loop, not even with a fighter's chance. The Wallabies of old will push you right to the end. I just don't know who they call upon in this group of players. When the bells are ringing and the psychological factor is playing its part, the chips are down. Who's bringing the team together? And for Wales now, they have an opportunity just about 15 meters out, centre field from Australia's try line. They have a blind on the right-hand side. Thomas Williams. Anscombe, the lovely ball out to Louis Rees-Zammit. Evades the first tackle, but brought to ground. Wales recycle though. Hooper goes in for Australia. But the red machine, the Welsh Dragons, come charging on. Ball retention important now for Wales. Lost their shape a little bit. Back to the 22 of Australia, still centre field, playing right to left. Thomas Williams. Australia defending for their lives. Tompkins on this left-hand touchline. Tries to cut back in. Anscombe keeps the ball alive. Folatau. There's space down the blind here. Vunivalu and Currie close him down. But Wales come charging, still in possession. Resolute defence for Australia, but valuable minutes ticking away on the clock. And just as I turn my head, Wales have kicked a drop goal. Have you seen a more complete performance at this Rugby World Cup? From that man, the replacement, Gareth Anscombe. Try, assist, conversion, penalty, and now drop goal. Wales 35, Australia 6 in the blink of an eye. If you take your eyes off Gareth Anscombe, he'll do that to you. And he's put Wales surely now in a position to go through to the knockout stages. Australia will be knocked out at this Rugby World Cup. Indeed, they'll be the first team to exit, I'm sure. What drama here at the OL Stadium. A little bit of injury concern for Louis Rees-Zammit, so he'll be replaced. Seems like a little bit of an ankle issue or some cramp. But just like that, in a moment, Gareth Anscombe does something extra special. He's been good all night, the replacement. And for Wales, they couldn't have asked for a more important time for him to step up than tonight. Yeah, Evan, I hear you. With the international format, it's also just who's going to be in charge of that? Because if you have a specific how can I say, like the Six Nations guys in charge of that. Who does it favor? It's got to favor all the teams. And I think with all the financial variables, it still needs some work in terms of its development. But that is the future landscape of rugby. Super Rugby without South African teams, it's a different Super Rugby. Do you guys agree? It's just not the same. And that has possibly diluted the quality of the Australian teams. Also keep in mind, Australian Rugby Union is not the most important or valued sport in Australia. It's the Aussie rules. Very, very big. So they're fighting that battle as well. But South Africa, without them in Super Rugby, my friend, well, I guess it's affecting us too. We didn't do too well last night. We've got a lot of work to do. But Wales looking to close this game off into Australia's half and in possession. Folatau at the base. And another penalty. It's been an ill-disciplined, vacant game from Australia, if you could call it that. Lacking ideas on attack, but also lacking the platform to set up anything meaningful. And Wales, via Gareth Anscombe, can relieve some pressure inside their own half with a penalty on this left-hand touch line, 45 meters out from the Australian try line. So just inside Australia's territory. Wales's line-out has been good all night. Remember, they set up that first try from a line-out move. Jack Morgan, the captain, finding his man Gareth Davis. And then since then, Wales have gone on and dominated in the scrum time. And for once, Australia win a penalty. Nick White on the field for Australia. They want to get on with things. But all is said and done here, just about with just over 5 minutes to play here in Lyon. Just no way back for the Wallabies now. It's playing for pride now. Carter Gordon. Advantage, says the referee. There was a high shot on Carter Gordon as Selassie Vunivalu comes away with the ball. Gordon again. There was obstruction. Trying to do something special there, Carter Gordon. But they'll come back for the advantage. Tompkins with the high shot there. And Australia will be desperate to put this ball out as quickly as possible. And in fact, he's kicked it dead. Trying to gain those last few extra centimeters down this left-hand touchline. And that just about says it all. The fans, the Australian fans, should I say, getting up off their seat before the game is even over. Never a good sign. They're out in their numbers this evening, having faith that Eddie Jones will pull this through, but Wales took the game away from them, especially with that start in the second half. The killer blow from Nick Tompkins, the centre. And Australia, I beg your pardon, never been able to respond. The ball is loose. Wales will have a line out. We're just about on halfway on this left-hand touchline. Nothing comes of that. Scrum. Big game from the captain tonight as well. But a massive game from Gareth Hanscom. You can't help but think he's in the discussion for man of the match. What a complete performance. And another penalty to Wales. It's all unraveled for the Wallabies here at the Rugby World Cup. Losing to Fiji and now getting thumped by Wales. Not even in the contest as we approach that last quarter. And Wales are not done yet, running into the line out here. We're only 7 meters out on this left-hand touchline. Wales with the line-out feed. The line-out is good. The drive is good. The punch is good down the middle. It's a try, says Wayne Barnes. It's a physical annihilation. And Wales hit 40 here at the OL Stadium. Everybody involved there congratulating their players. You'd think they'd go for the front ball, but they went for the back ball. Set up the maul. And no answer from the Wallabies. Wales, with the kick to come now, have put this game, well, a while ago already, beyond reasonable doubt, and now just put the final nail in the coffin. The Australian media are going to have a field day. They've just had no answer this evening. This evening. Evan, you working tomorrow? Sorry, my brother. The rest of you enjoy your public holidays as well. Much like tomorrow, we have to. We're South African. In Mzansi, we do it like that. If it's a public holiday on a Sunday, we make it on Monday and Tuesday if you don't watch out. But for Australia, it's all but over now as Wales regather the ball. Thomas Williams. Where to from here for Eddie Jones? And this young Wallaby team, who will be leading them at the next World Cup? And Australia do win a penalty, but it's all consolation here. Carter Gordon steps up. He wants to put it into touch. There is time for the line out. Time is up on the clock. So this is the final play for Eddie Jones's Australia, literally in a realistic position to go home and not partake further in winning the coveted William Webb Ellis Trophy. Australia now from the back. Samu Currie. He's held up over the line. The line out was good. It will be a goal line dropout, but that is it. No time, says the referee, for the goal line dropout. Full time here at the OL Stadium in Lyon. And Wales have beaten Australia by 40 points to 6. A complete annihilation. Thank you for tuning in from Forever Rugby at Forever Sports. Remember, we are live for every single game, so stay tuned.